surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Very disappointing. We're just going to have to regroup and get ready to go play a long season. We got 16 games in front of us, and it's a good football team, tough environment. Obviously, we did many good things, but we didn't play well at the end. Two big situations. The fourth down play. I mean, that's kind of a play that you don't really expect to happen. I mean, that's pretty lucky play, but they made it. And between the scrambles, I thought Josh Allen played a great game, obviously, especially at the end in the fourth quarter to make those plays. Scramble plays, extended completions, and then a couple big pass plays. So that's it, and we're disappointed, but we'll be fine. Questions, Jeff?
Yeah, I got some questions. Got more than a couple. I'd say good morning, but I'd be lying. It is a Monday edition. We will be back for week 2 against the Browns, and we will see you there. It's all brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER, the Costas Inn, Live Casino in Hotel, Maryland, and Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills, Frederick, and Columbia. Yeah, so you know what happened. The Ravens lost 41-40, and they lost in heartbreaking fashion. They were up by 15 late, and they blew it, and the teams don't normally do that. And the 277-0. We've seen all the numbers, and Griffin will continue to share them throughout the course of the morning, and you'll see them on the screen. And I none of them. I'll be numb to the next one the same way I was numb to the last one. Not to mean they aren't all real. It's just I don't know what to say. I didn't get a chance to write a column last night because we were up obviously late doing game day. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I've been struggling with it since the game ended. Because I want to have some loud, pronounced take. The truth is, I don't. The fan in me, I'm as pissed off, I'm as frustrated as all of you are. But on the flip side, what John Harbaugh said is right. Like, the season didn't end last night. They're not going to cancel the games moving forward. It doesn't guarantee that the result of last night's game will be the result of the game against the Browns or the Lions or any other team they play all season long or in the postseason. It doesn't even guarantee that the Ravens will be on the road in the postseason. Remember, the Ravens beat the Bills last year and then went on the road to Buffalo. Now, I get it. The AFC East does not appear to be a division that's capable of slowing the Bills down. I understand why we feel like the result of last night's game probably means the Ravens will have to be on the road in the postseason. Although, to be fair, right now, they just got to get there. But we don't know any of that. We have no idea. And that's the frustrating part about it, is because you go through something like this and you feel like you've been kicked in the teeth and kicked in the teeth and kicked in the teeth by this over the course of the last 5 or so. The last five seasons, we say that like it proves that John Harbaugh is a terrible coach. But part of the reason why that happens is because other coaches don't have the chance. That part of it matters. It's as much about the process as it is about the result. The team is really good, and so they have double-digit leads in the fourth quarters of games. Other coaches don't have the chance. So how valuable is that statistic? I don't know. It does matter. It is factual that it has happened. But what does it say? I can't tell you. Other than that it's real. How does it keep happening? I don't know. I don't. Part of it is the defense doesn't make big plays. And I don't think that part can be ignored. And that maybe is the most frustrating part about last night, although there's a long list.
I mean, the offense scored 40 points. Is there still a way to...
Yeah, Derrick Henry still fumbled the ball in the big spot, right?
But the Bills still had 85 offensive snaps to 50 for the Ravens.
It's all of it, right? Like this is why we can't. We want to dumb it down. Mm-hmm. We're just looking for something to be mad at and something to blame, and that's why it's easiest to blame the head coach, right? Just blame the coach because that's the encompassing part of all of this. And yet, John Harbaugh certainly didn't want Derrick Henry to fumble, and he didn't want Tyler Loop to miss an extra point, and he didn't want – does that absolve him from any of the things that he shoulders the weight for? Not at all. But it's everything. It's multiple dropped interceptions. It's not being able to get home. I got very excited about Mike Green coming into the season. Did Mike Green play?
Officially, he did. Yeah,
he did. I'm aware. That to me is the biggest part of it. Is a lack of major plays being made by the defense, and it's why, of course, I was not opposed to giving Kyle Hamilton a boatload of money. But I did bring it up then that Kyle Hamilton isn't Ed Reed, and that's the tricky part about it. That you want major playmakers, guys who make massive plays, and this defense just kind of doesn't have that. And I can't explain it. I don't know why that's the case, but they don't make big plays. And that's not unique to playing Josh Allen or the Bills. That's kind of their story. That's kind of their DNA. It's part of who they are. And it's been that way for some time. And that's not unique to Zach Orr. Mike McDonald defenses were not big playmaking defense. They were statistically very good defense, but they weren't making game-changing plays either. They have a problem making big plays. When someone has to win a football game defensively, they haven't done it in a very long time. Let's talk about something specific that happened. For those of you that put everything on John Harbaugh, I think the fourth down decision is the one that stands out the most. And it is worth pointing out that it might have been complicated. I don't know. Let me just play the clip so that we have the context before we talk to Ben Baldwin. John Harbaugh was asked about the fourth down decision, and John Harbaugh basically was dismissive and said, I think anybody would, here's the exact. I did think about going for it. If it's 4th and 3, if you don't get it, they're in field goal range. So I think punting it is probably what most people would do there. I have no idea what most people would do there, but even if that's the case, I still disagree with it. But I do think it might have been complicated by what Lamar Jackson said after the game, and I do think that part is relevant. If you missed it, here's what Lamar Jackson said.
Lamar, did you have a say on that 4th and 3, or were you coaches there at all?
No, I was cramping, so that's why I pretty much jogged out the field, because if I wasn't, everybody here know I would have been trying to go for a 4th and 3, But, yeah.
Lamar.
Okay, so was Lamar Jackson even going to be on the field? He was on the field one play earlier. I don't know what happened on that play. Did it mean that he couldn't have been on the field? Because that certainly would have impacted this decision, but we didn't get nearly enough information about it. So I can't overreact to that part of it yet. I just want to talk about the decision itself. Joining us now, the Computer Cowboy, the man behind the fourth down bot, the person who we treat as Bible in terms of decisions like this. He is Ben Baldwin, and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Ben, first of all, I really appreciate you taking the time. It's Glenn Clark here in Baltimore. I apologize. I know you've worked like in a million places. How should I introduce you? Where should I say you are these days?
I'm some guy on the internet that has a fourth down bot. I think is a perfectly acceptable introduction. Thanks for having me. A lot to talk about with the end of this game.
There's no doubt about it. Ben, I saw you posted that you go for it in that spot. Your win percentage is 84%. the punt, your win percentage is 76%. And to be fair, that didn't work out for them. That should still be a good number, and they should still be able to win the game, and they didn't. Is that number definitive to you? Like, is it as simple as saying, hey, if this analytics says you've got a greater chance of winning doing this than that, then you do it? Can you explain when, if the numbers say what, does it make it an obvious decision to you?
Yeah, this is a great question, and I think there's a couple of things worth pointing out here. The first is that end-of-game situations are the hardest to model and kind of come up with specific probabilities for. So if there's a time that we should have kind of the least confidence in what one specific model is telling us, or maybe when different models could point in different directions, it is an end-of-game scenario. So
Okay.
we should have that in the back of our minds. But at the same time, if you look at the ESPN model, they said almost the exact same thing. So both of our models had like 8 percentage points higher going for it than punting there. So even given all the uncertainty and no model is correct, no one model should be gospel. But if you have a bunch of different models that take different approaches and they all say the same thing, then setting aside the possible Lamar Jackson injury for a second, setting that aside, I think we can pretty confidently say that the right decision would have been to go for it. And I think that makes Harbaugh's comments so interesting, because we have seen him put the ball in Lamar's hands at the end of a game when they've had a chance to do it. And I think that was against the Chiefs maybe a couple of seasons ago, when it was like a 4th and 1, and if they got the first down, they iced the game, they went for it, they got it. And it's not that different of a situation here, but here he's like, oh, everybody would have punted there, so I punted there and trust the defense instead of the offense that has been absolutely rolling throughout the whole game.
So there's a couple layers to what I want to ask to this. One, Ben, is that, like, does the model even take into account you have Lamar Jackson, right? Like, to me, it seems like the model is based on the data and the game circumstance, but I would think that, like, if we were to come up with like a hypothetical, model, having Lamar Jackson might make these numbers even more dramatic.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry too.
Right.
If we think that the Ravens would be more likely to convert a 4th and short, it only does to the extent that it looks at how high scoring the game is expected to be beforehand, just because that's the information that's easy to grab. But what it doesn't know, and what a coach maybe should be taking into account, is both these teams have put up 40 points this game. These are the last two quarterbacks that have won MVP. If there's a side of the ball that's going to be the stronger unit for both of these teams, we would expect it to be our offense. So if we're going to put the ball in the hands of one unit to win the game, then we should probably be leaning on our offense here.
It feels like it should be that way throughout the NFL at this point, right? Like, it just feels to me, and again, I'm the dumb guy, but it feels like the data would say it's easier to get 3 yards offensively than it is to get a stop defensively in the NFL at this point. Like, it just sort of feels like we have enough information to decree that, even if you don't have Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and that's right. When you have the chance to end the game and the conversion, your chance of winning the game, if you convert, is 100%, then that 100% is going to weigh really heavily. So unless it's 4th and longer, then yes, any model is going to lean towards trying to convert, because if it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, then offenses have pretty good chance of converting there.
To your point, Ben, I think that maybe one of the perplexing things, and it's not just that game against the Chiefs from a few years back, like the Ravens starting in 2019, when they were kind of still underdogs in the early Lamar Jackson era, felt like they were the team that was like reimagining analytics and reimagining data and aggressiveness. And the data from the last couple of years has suggested they've almost gone the exact opposite way. And I don't know if some of that is, well, we don't feel like we're the underdogs anymore. We don't feel like we need to take risks. But I think that's maybe part of what we're struggling to come up with and make heads and tails of, is why the team that has this outstanding offense would be the team that suddenly doesn't want to be aggressive anymore.
Yeah, that's a great question, and something I've wondered with the Ravens as well. I think maybe part of it is that there were a couple of years where they had a really good defense, the Mike McDonald years, and I think coaches tend to be more willing to put faith in their defense when they have a really good defense, even if they do have a Lamar Jackson and a great offense and everything. And yeah, I remember the 2019 season. So I'm from Seattle. I'm a Seahawks fan. I remember that game they went and played in Seattle.
Yeah.
They had a 4th down, and John Harbaugh went to Lamar Jackson. He was like, "Do you want to go for this?" Basically asked Lamar if he wanted to, and Lamar was like, "Yeah, I want to go for this." And they went for that, and that ended up turning the tide in that game. And they ended up winning that game in Seattle. And it looks a lot different now. Although again, this time maybe Lamar Jackson would have felt differently because of the cramps he was going through. But it is a lot different than when it was when they were kind of the up and coming team.
Yeah, that part of it obviously is relevant, and we didn't get a full clarity to that last night, and hopefully John Harbaugh will give us more today, but I'll bet he doesn't. To the point, our friend Jonas Schaefer from the Baltimore Banner compiled this from Aaron Schatz's rankings, said you go back to 2019, the Ravens were the most aggressive fourth down team in the NFL. By 2023, they were the 31st most aggressive fourth down team, and last year they were the 17th most aggressive fourth down team. And that's the part. And I get the circumstance does play a factor into all of that, and not all fourth downs are made equal, but it makes no sense. I did want to ask about one other play last night, Ben, from an analytics standpoint, because it was brought up after the game and kind of dismissed. They were up 15, 40-25, and Tyler Loop missed an extra point. In that moment, they had the chance to try to go for two and go up 3 scores. And I get it, like the likelihood of a team converting two-point conversions if you go up by 16. I can understand the thought process, and ultimately the Bills got 3 scores anyway, so maybe it's kind of moot. But, like, what did you make of that? Did you think about that at all, and the idea that you could go for 2 and you could be the aggressor to make it a 3-score game?
Yeah, I think there I'd be probably close to indifferent between those decisions, just because it is pretty hard for a team to get 2 two-point conversions. And if you don't get it there, then they only have to convert one time. Yes, I understand the argument with the 3-score game, and maybe it would be a slight lean, but in general, when you sit down and look at the numbers on things, then it's the fourth down decisions that move the needle a lot, and the 2-point conversion decisions are usually less so, unless it's something super obvious, like you're down by 2 and deciding whether or not to go for 2.
Right. You say, nah, I'd rather not. Let's not do this here. Ben, I want to ask a dumb guy question, and I hope you'll understand where I'm coming from, because